What is WinDirStat? WinDirStat is a disk usage analyzer and cleanup tool for Microsoft Windows. WinDirStat stands for Windows Directory Statistics. WinDirStat scans one or more drives or a directory on a Windows computer, and then on a graphical tree map displays files with colored rectangles, where the larger the file, the larger the rectangle. The most common file types are color-coded, so you can see at a glance what file types are filling your drive and where. WinDirStat is available for free as an open-source project released under the GNU GPL, or GNU General Public License. WinDirStat has been downloaded over 4.2 million times. WinDirStat supports Windows NT, 98, ME, 2000, XP, 2003, Vista, and 7. Let's download and install WinDirStat. Open a web browser like Internet Explorer. In the address bar, enter WinDirStat.info. That's WinDirStat.info, and then press enter. On the WinDirStat homepage, click the Downloads Permalinks link. The easiest option to download the file is to click on the link under Current Installer, which in this case is the current version of 1.1.2. Click the link below Current Installer. It'll take us to the download page on the SourceForge.net website. On the download information bar, click the Run button. This will download the file and then automatically start the installer. The installer will open to the License Agreement screen. Read the license agreement. Click to select I accept the terms in the license agreement, and then click the Next button. On the Choose Component screen, leave the default selected and then click the Next button. On the Choose Install Location screen, change the install location if you like, and then click the Install button. After a brief installation, on the Installation Complete screen, click the Next button. On the Completing the WinDirStat Setup Wizard screen, deselect Run WinDirStat, and then click the Close button. We could have left this set, and it would have automatically started the application. But I want to go about showing you the two ways that you can start the application. There are two ways you can start WinDirStat. Option 1, you can double-click on the WinDirStat icon on the desktop. Option 2, you can click the Windows Start button, All Programs, WinDirStat, and then select WinDirStat. WinDirStat will open to the Selected Drives window. The first thing we need to do is decide what we want to scan with WinDirStat. We have three options available to us. All local drives. All local drives will scan all of the drives in the system. This includes both physical hard drives and solid-state drives, SSDs, as well as external drives and USB thumb drives. Individual drives lets you scan one or more of the storage devices in the system. To select one of the drive options, click on it once with the mouse. This will highlight the drive in blue. This would just scan the single drive. But if we click the link to the drive underneath, they will both show up in blue, and also both be scanned. If you change your mind, you can deselect the drive by clicking it again once. And now we're back to just scanning the C drive. A folder lets you select and scan an individual folder and all its subfolders. If we click the button to the right here, it'll bring up a Browse for Folder window. We simply browse for and select the directory that we want to scan. We will most likely want to scan our main hard drive with the Windows and all our programs on it. The main drive is usually labeled C, and if we look above the drive icon, we can see a little icon with the Windows flag. This lets us know that Windows is installed on this drive. Let's click to select the C drive so that it's highlighted in blue once again. and click the OK button to begin the scan. It'll now go through and scan all the folders and files on the entire C drive. It'll show you the percentage complete in the top left-hand corner of the application window. Now it shows the drive being searched at the very top, which in this case is the C drive. And then as it scans for files and folders, it sorts them with the largest at the top. As the drive and each folder are being scanned, you'll see what looks like a little Pac-Man animation, chomping from left to right as it scans through each directory. Depending on the size of the hard drive, the number of files and folders, and the speed of the system, the time will vary greatly. Let's review the WinDirStat application window. At the very top we have our various menus like File, Edit, and Help. Just below this we have a toolbar with buttons that become active as we navigate through the application. The remainder of the screen is broken into 3 sections or panes. The top left-hand pane is called the Directory List View. The Directory List View lists all the directories on the scanned drive, drives, or folder, just like Windows Explorer. By default, the directories are listed with the largest ones being on top and then descending down to the smallest in size. Each entry in the Directories List View pane displays the following information. Name. The name of the folder or file is listed here. We scan the C drive, so all the folders we are seeing here are on the root of our C drive. Subtree percentage. This is a bar graph that visually represents the percentage of total disk space that this folder uses. Percentage. This is the same as the last column, but this one shows the percentage in number form. Size. This is the total size of the selected folder and all of its contents. Items. Items represents the total number of files and folders within the selected directory. Files. Files represents the total number of files in the selected directory. Subdirs. Subdirs represents the total number of folders that are within the selected directory. Last change. This shows the time and date of the last modification of the selected directory. Attributes. The Attributes column shows any attributes for the selected directory or file. The available options are R for read-only, H for hidden, S for system, A for archive, C for compress, and E for encrypted. The top right pane is the File Type view. The extension list contains all types of files, file name extensions, occurring within the directory tree. By default, the list is sorted in descending order by size. This means that types of files that are taking up the most space on your hard drive will show up at the top of the list, with those types of files taking up the least amount of space showing up at the bottom. Let's review the columns. Extension. This is the file extension name that is typically a dot followed by 3 characters, such as a Microsoft Word document that would show up as a .doc or .doc file. It also shows an icon representation for each file type. This is the same icon you would see when you find these files browsing around your hard drive in Windows Explorer. Color. The 12 most common file types each have their own unique color associated with them that are used to represent them in the tree map. Description. The description of the file type is the same one that's shown by Windows Explorer. Bytes. Bytes represents the total size of the file type in some form of bytes, like kilobytes, megabytes, and gigabytes. In this case, all visible file types have their byte size showing in gigabytes, or GB. Percent bytes. Percent bytes shows the percentage of space on the disk being taken up by each file type. Files. This shows the number of files of each file type that are on the disk. If we look at the top entry here, we'll see that the most common extension type is a DLL, or .dll. That's shown here in blue. It's an application extension. The DLLs take up 21.7 gigabytes on disk, which is 21% of the total used space, and there are 28,962 of them. The bottom colorful pane of the window is the tree map. The entire area of the tree map pane represents the total size on the disk of the directory scanned. In this case, we selected to scan the primary Windows drive, which was local disk C. Each colored rectangle represents an individual file in the disk, and its size is proportional to its size on the disk. As we discussed previously in the File Types pane, the color of each rectangle tells us the file type of the file on that rectangle. Now let's review how to use WinDirStat to review the files taking up space on our drive, and then how to determine what we can and can't delete. Let's start in the Directory List pane. We scan the C drive on the computer, as we can see represented by the very top level. We can see that this drive contains a Windows installation because the drive icon shows the Windows flag. In the percentage column of our C drive, it shows the time it took to scan the drive, which in this case was 5 minutes and 1 second. We can see that it found a total of 327,291 files and 55,094 subdirectories. We can sort by any of the columns in either an ascending or a descending view by clicking on any of the column headings. Currently we can see that it's sorted by the size column in descending order because of the greater than symbol to the left of the word size. If we click on the size column once, it will change the sorting order from descending order to ascending order, and we can now see that we have a less than symbol. We can see that the C drive still shows up on the top, but all the folders contained within it are now sorted by the smallest folders first. Let's click it one more time to change it back. We can see that on this drive, and quite likely with your computer, the Users folder is taking up the most space. The Users folder is where all the user accounts on your Windows system are stored, along with all the documents and files associated with them. This is Windows 7, which is why the folder is called Users. The User Profile folder is the same on Windows Vista as well. If you have Windows XP, the User Profile is instead C, Documents and Settings. We can see that this Users folder is taking up 34.9% of the space, or 36 gigabytes. If we click the plus next to the Users folder, or any other folder, it'll expand that folder and reveal all subfolders. We can see that the only profile really used on this system is the Sasha profile, because it's taking up 99.8% of all space in the Users directory. If we click to select and highlight the Sasha folder, we will see that down below in the tree map, the Sasha folder is surrounded by a white border. Let's click the plus to expand the Sasha folder. As we expand each level, we will see that it will remain sorted by whatever column we were sorting by previously. We can just keep expanding the directory using up the most space until we find the file or folders consuming unnecessary space. It's not always that the largest files and folders aren't needed. It's just that the easiest place to start if you're looking to free up space is with the largest files and folders. Expanding the App Data folder, and then roaming, we can see that the Adobe folder is taking up 98.3% of all space. It is Adobe, but using 17.9 gigabytes of data in the roaming App Data folder seems a bit excessive. If I was looking to free up space on my drive, I would probably look into the contents of this roaming profile and see if it can be cleaned up. Now, just because some files or folders are taking up a lot of space, and you don't know what they are, you shouldn't necessarily delete at random. If you aren't positive the files and folders can be deleted, you could lose important files and information, or cause your system to become unstable, or even worse, unusable. In this case here, being unsure exactly what is causing the problem, I would next expand the Adobe folder, the Common folder, and then expand and select the Media Cache Files folder. We have the Media Cache Files folder highlighted and can see in the tree map that if all the files are of the same red color, meaning that they're all the same file type. If we look under our Media Cache Files folder, we can see that all the files have a CFA extension. I can see by the names that these are various Adobe software projects and are most likely backups of. We could do some research online and see if these files could be deleted to save space. Being that we have the original project files saved, I would bet that these could be deleted after verifying. Now let's click the minus button to collapse down the users folder. As we expand out the directories in the name column, it widened it so that the name column was wide enough so the full directory paths were visible. If you wanted to view the columns other than name, you can use the scroll bar. If we hover between the name column and the subtree percentage column, we can see this new cross icon show up. If we left click and hold, we can drag it where we want and then let go. This makes it so that all of the columns are visible again. We can see this basically looks back like it did now before we started. In reviewing the directory list pane, we can see the Windows folder listed as the folder taking up the second most amount of space, at least on this system. The Windows folder contains your Microsoft Windows system files. You should never delete anything from the Windows folder unless you know exactly what you're doing. If you mess around in the Windows folder, you may do unrecoverable damage to your system. Other locations on your system that are likely to take up a large amount of space are the Program Files and Program Files x86 folders. When you install a program application or game on a Microsoft Windows system, it is most likely installed in the Program Files folder. In addition to Windows coming in versions for home and business, it also comes in older 32-bit versions or in the newer 64-bit versions. If you have an older 32-bit version of Windows, you only have one Program Files folder called Program Files. This is where every program you install gets installed. If you have a newer 64-bit version of Windows installed, you have a Program Files folder that now contains the 64-bit version of programs. And you also have a Program Files x86 folder where the old-style 32-bit applications get installed. Most applications still seem to be 32-bit, so we can see here the third largest folder taking up 14.9% of the space is the Program Files x86 folder. Let's try to figure out what's taking up the most space on our Program Files x86 folder and see if there are any old unused programs we can remove to save some space. In expanding the Program Files x86 folder view, we can again see that on this system, Adobe is taking up the vast majority of the space in this directory, approximately 68.1%. Now you can look through the list of programs that are taking up the most space and see if there are any that you don't use often or at all. If you are unsure what the program is, you might want to just Google the name to see what it is. If you're the only person who uses the computer, it should be pretty easy to know if you use the program or not. If more than one person uses the computer, make sure you check with everybody before deleting a program from the system. If we determine that a program is no longer needed, and we decide to remove it, we can just delete it from within WinDirStat, but I would highly recommend that you uninstall it through the Windows control panel if it's a program. If it's just a file, you can delete it through the WinDirStat application window. If I determined that I no longer wanted to have OpenOffice installed on this system, or any other program, I would follow the following steps. We can see here that OpenOffice is taking up the fourth most amount of space. Click on the Windows Start button, and then click Control Panel. In the Control Panel window, click the Uninstall a Program link. We can either scroll through the list and find our application, or we can click in the search field, and you can just start to type it out. Now we can see OpenOffice.org 3.4 listed. To begin the uninstall utility for this and any other program here, you would click to select the application so that it's highlighted in blue, and then click the uninstall button. It'll ask you if you're sure, and if you say yes, it'll then start the uninstall utility. In addition to the folders we further reviewed, look into any other folders that take up a lot of space. In addition to the file type pane showing information about the most common types of files, you can click on one of them like JPEG image. We can see once we do this that it highlights in white in the tree map all of our JPEG image files. Those are files that have a .jpeg extension, or .jpg. One of the common tasks that you'll perform after scanning the drive that you're looking to clean up will be to perform a quick visual scan of the tree map to see if any huge individual files or folders stand out. We can click on both of these large green squares on the right-hand side. We can see that the top right file is pagefile.sys, and the bottom file is hyberfill.sys. These are both .sys, or system files, which we can see from looking in the file type pane is the file type that takes up the third most amount of space at 14%. .sys files are Windows system files and should almost never be deleted for any reason. Now, if we were unsure of those files and we went and Googled them, we would find that pagefile.sys is the Windows paging file, and hyberfile.sys is the Windows hibernation sleep file. These files take up space on disk, but you should never delete them. We already discussed uninstalling the applications from the Windows control panel, but there may be some files or folders that need to get deleted as well, and this can be done right through the WinDirStat application. I used to run Windows virtual machines from my C drive. I no longer do that now because I have a secondary hard drive. There's a leftover Windows XP virtual machine that should have been deleted 2 years ago when I moved the application, but these files stayed. I know that this virtual machine files are .vmdk files, so I will click the Select .vmdk from the File Type window. We can see this highlighted about 4 green squares. Let's click to select one of these green squares. We can see that as we click this, the directory list tree will expand out to show the selected file. The files cannot be deleted from the tree map pane, and can only be deleted from the directory list view. If we right-click on the highlighted square in the tree map, we can see the limited menu available to us. Let's right-click on a file and review the options available to us. I'm going to use this vmware.log file. Let's right-click on the vmware.log file. The options available in this context menu are also available in the toolbar at the top of the window. Open. The Open option will open the selected file or folder. If you selected Open in a folder, it will open a Windows Explorer view of that folder. If you selected Open on a file, it'll open that file in the default program for that file type. Selecting Open on this log file will open it in its default application of Notepad. Copy path. The copy path command copies the complete path to the file or folder in the clipboard. Whenever you have a file selected, its full path will show up on the toolbar at the bottom left of the application. Selecting Copy Path will copy whatever is shown up here. Explore Here. The Explore Here option launches the Windows Explorer to the folder selected, or to the parent folder if a file is selected. Selecting that option here opens the Windows XP Professional folder with our vmware.log file in it. Command prompt here. This option opens a DOS command prompt window of the currently selected folder directory or parent directory of the file selected. Again, we can see the command prompt window will open to our vmware.log file. Again, we can see the command prompt window open with our VMware log files and other folders. Refresh selected. After you initially scan the drives and directories when you first start WinDirStat, the information shown will always be based off that data. Sometimes the data is changed outside of WinDirStat after you have done the scan. You could start over and do a completely new scan, or you can use the Refresh Selected option, which will refresh the selected file, information, or folder. We are now at the two most important options in our context menu with the Delete options. There are two options provided for how you can delete files and folders. Delete to Recycling Bin. This option deletes selected files and folders to the recycling bin. This is exactly what happens if you click the Delete button menu on your keyboard, and then delete a file or folder. If you decide after this you didn't mean to delete the file, you can go into the recycling bin and restore the file from there. The other option is Delete, no way to undelete. Unlike the previous option when you delete your files and folders, with this option it deletes them permanently from the system and irreversibly. You have to be positive that you no longer want the files when you select this option. This should really only be used on sensitive files that you want to ensure nobody will ever be able to recover after you've deleted them. Properties. The Properties option will open the Windows Property window for the selected file or folder. This is exactly the same as what happens when browsing your Windows computer, and you right-click and then you select Properties. We want to delete the virtual machine folder and all of its contents. Let's right-click on the virtual machine folder in the directory list. We will select the Delete to Recycle Bin option. A warning window will open asking us if we know what we're doing and confirm that we really want to delete this file or folder. Click the Yes button. A Delete File window will open asking if you're sure you want to move this to the recycling bin. Click the Yes button. We can see that as it deletes the folder and all the files within it, our selected box in the tree map is no longer there. You should now have the necessary information to be able to use WinDirStat to scan your entire hard drive or just folders on your hard drive. You should then be able to use the scanned data to visually find larger files and folders on your computer and be able to remove them to free up disk space.